Hello, hello, my beautiful tribe. This is your coach, Vanda here. And today I'm so excited. I have such a great treat for you. And before I introduce this beautiful lady, I just want to say this to you guys. She is a jewel, okay? She's so high energy. She's so wise and got so many great things. And I want to share this with you before I bring her in. Many moons ago, I was coaching a top producer in New York City, a great guy that I had the pleasure of coaching for many years. And we were talking during a coach time, and he said, "Oh, interesting what you said, Coach V. It reminds me of what my life coach told me." I said, "Oh, your life coach, tell me about her." He said, "She's a great lady." And he told me about her. I said, "You know what? I would love to reach out to her because I believe in women, elevated women, and we all should talk together in this space." So I reached out to her. We became friends. And not long ago, I said, "You know, darling, I really would love to share your beautiful brilliance, energy, and wisdom with my tribe. Would you come and talk to, interview, have a conversation with me with one of my shows for my beautiful real estate agent?" She said yes. So ladies and gentlemen, here without any delay, I want to introduce you to Vivace Maxvictor. Hi, Vivace.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here. And that client loved you. So he was raving about you and your services. So I got to hear a lot about what Vanda said on his coaching calls. So thank you also for contributing that way to me, which was incredible. So thank you.
Very nice, very nice. So before I ask you some great questions, and I know everyone is curious about you and how your beautiful journey in life, I want to just tell you guys here some of the great accomplishment that this wonderful lady has done, and it is brilliant. So she has been featured on Bravo's $1 Million listing in New York, Netflix buying Beverly Hills. She's also being featured Fox Business, Fox News, right, Vivace?
Yes.
And the Court TV. She has a bachelor and master in biology. So she's very well knowledgeable. She also graduated from Cornell Medical School as a surgical PA. And 11 years ago, you left your career medicine to become a life coach. So tell us about you. Tell us about what made you to decide to become a life coach, and how has been since then.
Oh my God. Well, first of all, I worked in medicine, as you just mentioned, and I hated it. And medicine for me was a fear-based decision. And I know that you would agree that anytime we make a fear-based decision, it's pretty much the wrong decision. Right. So I needed to make a desire-based decision, but I had come from such a background of trauma. I had not processed any of my pain. I just kept going to more schools and more schools and more schools and getting more and more degrees, shoving all of my emotional pain under the carpet, just ignoring it till literally one day, as you know, you've seen my story, I became suicidal. Yes. And I started to get help. Once I got help, because the whole time I was in medicine, I mean, I never wanted to be there. It's like being in a bad relationship and you want to get out, but you can't. I couldn't get out because my self-esteem was so damaged. My identity was so damaged. I didn't believe in myself. I felt inadequate. I felt insecure. I didn't know what to do with myself, and I felt totally mentally blocked. So, and I had never gotten help prior to that moment. I just disregarded my feelings altogether, which was completely the wrong way to go about it. Right. So after I was suicidal, I had no choice. I had actually picked, as I call it, my self-imposed expiration date. I went and I got help. And as I got help, and over time, as I got healthier and healthier and healthier, one day I left medicine eventually. When I was strong enough and when I had some amount of faith in myself, I got up and I left. I left everything that I knew, and I decided to go help other people. So now I help entrepreneurs transform their mental roadblocks into power and profit because I did it for myself.
Wonderful. I mean, not the wonderful, the pain they went through, but you know, as we know, many times our mess become a message, right?
Yes.
Our mess become a message. So what I hear you saying is, all the tribulations and the difficult times, and really help you to build this amazing person that you are, and you use that and the techniques to help other people. So I saw your story. Yes, I saw your story, very profound, and it can be easy to go out and tell your story to the whole world, and get, as you said in your own video, get out of the closet and share your pain because you don't want anybody to think less of you. So how was that to really come out and tell your story, where you came from and some of the hardship you had? How was that transition?
Sharing my story has been one of the most difficult things I've volitionally done in my life. I was going to all these companies and I was doing all these presentations, and people would line up to speak to me afterwards. And they were like, "You're so dynamic. You have so much confidence. You have high energy. We can't do it." And I said, "Well, no, actually, this isn't where I came from. So no one would understand my backstory." And I wouldn't.
Tell us a little bit. Tell us a little bit where you came from, and if you
Sure.
don't mind, is that okay?
Yeah, no, I'll give like the G-rated version-ish of it. The story's there. You're welcome to share the link with your clients. So I share my story of being born in Iran to a Jewish family, coming up in a family with tremendous amounts of violence all the time. There was all kinds of abuse happening all the time. There was tremendous violence against my mom and me specifically. And if you watch the video, it goes into detail. And so I was extremely, extremely mentally and emotionally damaged from everything that I had gone through.
Yeah, it's pretty, devastating, right? Now,
It's
of course,
devastating. And then also in our culture, you asked how hard was it to put the video together. In our culture, we don't share about these things openly. So I know many cultures are like that. You should not talk about these things. They're shameful to talk about. I feel that whoever's done something to you, it's their shame and it's not your shame. And once I learned this, I unburdened myself. And so I decided to put this video out. I said, you know what, I'm going to share the true story. And I went to the videographers that day and I was so nervous to share my story. I'd never shared it. And I literally was wearing a dress, and the story, as you watch, is 30 minutes long. So I couldn't stand in my heels because my legs were shaking so much because I was so nervous. Right. So I just stood barefoot in front of the camera because that's the only way I could function. And I told them, if I cry, don't edit it out. I want this to be like a pure, raw relationship with the truth, and sharing this with other people. So if anyone else is going through any of the things that I went through, and then later as an adult, I was sexually assaulted. And one of the, which it's still very hard for me to speak about, one of the rapes really fucked with my head. And then it was after that moment where everything, like my cup of emotional pain, ran over. And then after that event, I just couldn't process. I had been drugged and raped. And I woke up in an environment and all these things in that environment that were not helpful to the way that I felt. And at the time, I didn't know to go and get treated. I just figured it happened. There's nothing I could do about it. Let me just hide it, pass it. So I just virtually ignored it. And so it all caught up with me. But doing this video was extremely important because I wanted to talk about the arc of my life, talk about domestic violence, talk about sexual assaults, talk about being suicidal. And Vanda, you're right. I was so afraid that if I shared my truth, that all these corporate companies that I had relationships with and all these clients that I had, and I had international clients, that they would think that I was crazy girl, because if I shared about being suicidal, that I would lose my authority or power or leverage with the community. And I was extremely scared when I posted it. And literally every time someone watched it, I would have anxiety that maybe I was going to lose business, or I was single. If I wanted to date someone, like if they saw the video, they'd never date me. It's literally the programming that we have, that sharing our truth is shameful. And so I wanted to take a stand for every person. Every person has their own version of pain. And I really believe the only way we can heal is to speak our truth powerfully. Obviously, you don't have to go do it on YouTube, but it is important to speak our truth to heal our soul.
So true. And I actually, in the name of all the women and men out there too, I say thank you, because, it's so important to tell your story, because again, like you said, you never know who you inspire in helping someone in a moment of pain. And being vulnerable is such a difficult thing. For example, Vivace, I share with you, I haven't even done yet specifically one in detail, all my stories. I tell my stories about how I started in real estate. And even though I was making money, I was miserable because I was feeling guilty and anxiety because I didn't see my kids. You probably see some of my stories too. We always say that people that come in real estate, they have no leads, no business, nothing going on. And then we have people that are in real estate, or they got some business leads, but they don't have a life. And it was
Yes.
here, I was in a second situation. I didn't have a life and I suffered a lot. So that was my real estate story, but I haven't told anybody yet some of the pain because this is not easy to be vulnerable. I talk to you and you know, we all have coaches. We all know that at a different level. I told my coach about that, my speaking coach. I said, it's very hard for me to open up my heart and share my pain and my weakness. He goes, yeah, because then you got to leave a little bit of the pain, but that sometimes is necessary. So you are a bright, brave woman, a bright star in the world. We appreciate you.
Well, you're a brave woman too, Vanda. I didn't want to do it. I mean, I wanted to do it essentially I wanted to share my story so that people would understand when they saw that dynamic woman on stage, where she came from, so that they would understand. I always say, you know, I was so fucked up that anyone less fucked up than me could do really well in life. So I wanted to show that if I was that damaged and I was able to heal, and I talk a lot about neuroplasticity, as you mentioned, I come from medicine, how the brain can rewire itself.
Right.
So it can rewire your identity after pain and trauma. And it's so important to do so. And I want to encourage you to tell your story. Like, maybe you don't have to do it on YouTube or in a public domain. Maybe you can just get a camera, your own camera on your cell phone, and just stand in front of your camera and tell the story. And even listening to that back, I think can be so healing and affirming for you. And I would actually encourage all your viewers to do that. And then you can delete the video.
I love it. No, it's true. It's true. And I'm working on one or more details. So I appreciate that. Now, with everything that goes on, we know that every setback, every breakthrough, every trauma, actually, there's another side that makes us stronger, right? The old corny say, what doesn't kill you makes strong. But the truth is, yeah, you came out of this a much powerful woman. You know what you want, what you don't want, you know what you're all about. You also told me in our conversation, you know, I'm not my story. My story does not define me. I'm not, you know, I have my identity. So now tell us about here, because here we are talking to a lot of thousands of real estate agents. Some of them are brand new, some of them are seasoned, some are we are entrepreneurs, by the way, right? And I always teach that one of the most amazing superpowers is called confidence, the ability to transfer the energy of confidence so you can build the trust, so you can help people to buy and sell real estate and hire them as well. So how this everything that went through your life build your confidence to be able to do what you do right now as a great life coach, my darling?
It goes back to your story is not your identity. And it's such an important distinction to really look at your story as a part of what happened to you, but it doesn't have to fully define you for the rest of your life. And I think sometimes the shame of not sharing our story keeps us bound to that old identity of pain and just damage, which is not helpful at all. So I think for any of your real estate brokers, if you want to step into your confidence, I personally believe that our confidence is locked underneath our trauma. So this is our trauma. Our confidence is underneath it. As you start to speak your truth and heal your trauma, your confidence will just naturally open up, and your power is underneath your pain also. So I'm a big fan because I didn't address my pain, right? I just bypassed my pain. And I work with many of the real estate brokers, same ones, some of the same ones that you do. We share some clients. And I feel like if they don't fundamentally address the thing that is really hurting them on the inside, it doesn't matter how many phone calls they make and how many dinners they go out to and how many follow-up sessions they have. If they really feel pain and any sort of inadequacy and self-doubt, that is going to translate at some point during the transaction and or prevent them from even reaching further goals.
So true, right? So true. And I love that because it's such a important point. I tell my clients too all the time, yes, we have the pleasure, honor of Coach Tyler Whitman together, right? You life and business Tyler and Steve Cohen and a lot of great other people that we coach. I'm giving a shout out for those two great ones, but we have other people involved too. We love you kids. Now, I always say to everyone that I talk to, listen, having money or being successful and not having a life is failure. So if you have money, but you feel miserable, like you said, that's failure. The same thing also is being very optimistic and not having any money, being broke. Yes. Sooner or later, you're going to be unhappy, right? Sooner or later. So share here with us one or two things that, that you as a life coach and out of the space like I am there, helping people and moving people up, elevating them, that you believe that some of the predictor of success that really will determine someone's success. Share that with us.
I think the number one, hands down, a predictor of success, at least with my clients, for sure. I mean, I won't work with anyone who doesn't have this one trait. If you don't have this one trait, leave me alone. And honestly, I don't think you'll be successful ever. It's hunger. You have to be hungry. And if you're hungry and you're humble, you're going to go all the way. You got to be hungry and humble enough to get feedback, humble enough to see what you're doing and what you could do better, but you have to be hungry. So the greatest predictor of success is your hunger. Yeah. Because if you have a level 2 hunger, you're not going to have a level 10 success. If you have a level 4 hunger, you're not going to have a level 10 success. There's so many people who want to sit around and just like have money fall with the law of attraction out of the sky into their head. And it doesn't work that way. You have to be in alignment with your goals. So your hunger has to be there. And I don't know if you've heard this term. There's this term, it's called magnificent obsession. So have your career be your magnificent obsession. But to your point, Vanda, also you need to have a life. So I'm a big fan in my coaching. We always talk about money. And I know a lot of times like new clients are reticent or hesitant, or they're shy, or they pussyfoot around the money conversation. I'm like, no, let's talk about actual dollars. Let's talk about actual money. So luxury can bring so much joy to our lives, but I don't think it's just external luxury. It's also, one of my trademarks is called the luxury of being you. It's celebrating the luxury of being you, celebrating your uniqueness, your unique assets. Selling that can make you so much money. And the money part is extremely important because money is energy. And if you lack that amount of energy, it is going to cascade in and overflow into other areas of your life and damage different parts of your life that could be supported by fiscal power.
So true, so true. And yes, and we both of us in this point, we work on the money mindset. This week, on Monday, I had a money mindset coaching with my VIPs and one-on-ones, because we know if they have hang up with money, they're not going to attract money. I always say money comes to where is welcome and money comes to where is invited and stays where is welcome. So it's important that now, of course, we have to have the balance, the life, understanding this and that. And it's so true.
Also, I don't know if this is your experience with your clients, but it's definitely my experience with my clients. And I love my clients. They're international. I love them. I love you people. I just have to say that what I've seen a stark difference with women and men and the relationship to money. I feel that women have been conditioned for so long that they should not have the same fiscal aspirations as men do. And that if they're talking about it, it's sort of not appropriate.
Well, defensive, right? They get defensive about money, don't they?
They do. And women are embarrassed to speak about money, and they're embarrassed to say, hey, this is what I actually want and this is what I deserve. Whereas I find with men, they're so conditioned that they're supposed to have wealth. I want to encourage, as you said, for our female audience to also stand in your fiscal power, stand in your total power, and really write down. I always ask people to write down, what is the number you really want? Exactly. I had a client a few weeks ago. I asked her, she gave me a really low ball number, and God bless her, her lifestyle is extravagant. So that number doesn't equate to that lifestyle. And maybe it was 2 or 3 weeks later, we had another coaching call. Maybe it was 2 weeks later. And she multiplied that number and she's like, this is the number I want. So sometimes we have to plant the seed. And 1 or 2 weeks later, the person's like, no, actually, why am I lying to myself and saying this amount of money is okay if I really want this much? And again, I really appreciate luxury. Luxury makes me work better. It makes me sleep better. It makes me feel better. So if you're a person who appreciates luxury, it's important that you have the mindset, as Vanda said, the money mindset, so that you're in alignment, you do invite it, and it does stay. And not only does it stay, but it brings its cousins with it.
Yes.
So it multiplies. So you get a return on your energy and you get a return on your investment, no matter what it is that you're doing, because you're coming from a place of abundance around money. And as Vanda said, not from a place of hangups around
hangups. So true. And you know, darling, we come from pretty much the same kind of money place, I believe, because I grew up very poor, My mother separated from my dad when I was 10 years old with 5 kids, and we live here. We moved 3 times in 1 year. You know, we didn't have a car. We didn't have television for 2.5 years. We never had a phone. So you know, so sometimes clients says, Coach, you're always talking about the money. I said, darling, I'm a business coach. I'm a real estate coach. If you don't make money, I'm not doing my job. And if you don't know your money, don't track your number, your money, you're in trouble. So yes, money is just a tool. It will give you freedom for building a business, right? And grow that, and also feel comfortable and feel comfortable, insecure. I always say too, and I love humor, and you like too, you know, life is going to happen. Shit's going to hit the fan. Stuff happens. You're going to have breakdowns, setbacks, and it's better to cry some days in a beautiful Mercedes or Ferrari than cry in the bars or maybe waiting for the bus. So we always have
let me tell you, crying in this apartment feels a lot better with this view than crying in my old apartment with the brick view of the guy across the street from me. There was actually, I lived in this apartment, Vanda. I lived on the 3rd floor of this apartment, and it had these obviously much smaller windows. And I would notice that someone was staring at me, and it was a studio. So it was not like I had another room to go to. And I would look, and it was my neighbor. He'd be staring at me from across the street in Manhattan. You know, sometimes it depends on what type of block you're on. You can really see each other. Like this block, you could see everything right across the street. And so I went to my super at the time, and I said, you know, the guy across the street, he keeps staring at me. I have to keep my blinds down, which made me feel imprisoned because this guy is staring at me, and I couldn't afford to go to a nicer place. So right now that there's nobody out there,
isn't it
I'm so excited.
I love to. It's so funny because if you're here in my office, Vivace, you have the windows behind you. So all over me here, around me is windows too, and I have the ocean in front of me. And you, like, right? So I have the ocean. We are both blessed. So all of you ladies and gentlemen as well, remember, there's nothing wrong to want to dream big and want more. Don't ever apologize for wanting more, for being hungry, ambitious. Being ambitious is different from being greedy. Don't get in your head, right?
100%.
It's okay to have the money. It's okay to want to grow more, learn more, improve more, be here, all the women here. And you're right. We have people from Asia or South America, especially women, like you said, you know, the East, they grew up with this mentality. They don't talk about money or business, right? But now we change this, right, Vivace?
Absolutely. And Vanda, you know what? I love that you talked about your humble beginnings. And it's good that you do have the story. You do have the balance of saying you want it, you didn't have it, you understand what it's like to have it and to not have it, and having it feels a lot better.
So much better, right?
So much better. For me, I came from a wealthy family, and money was used as a weapon and a tool of abuse and a tool of shame. So when I was 12 years old, my dad and my mom had a fight. He beat her up again. He beat her severely. We had just come to a new country, and he told my mom, if you don't like it, leave. She said, okay. I had been begging her and begging her and begging her to leave him. And then we left my dad. He gave me $100. My mom had worked for my dad for 15 years. He was a dentist. She was a dental hygienist. He had never paid her. So when we're in a new country, we had my $100 bill and no other monies. And he kept our passport. And we were literally homeless in a new country. So we left that hotel, we walked out of the hotel, and we had nowhere to go in a foreign country. So I understand having it. I understand it being used the wrong way, as it was used in my family as a tool of abuse. I actually used to hate money. That, by the way, is lucky.
Yeah, we gotta have a gas and
I know, you see the parade of cats behind me. I love them. So yeah, it was, our relationship with money is so specific and particular to each of our own circumstances and what emotions were attached to money as we were growing up. And also, what is our current relationship today? So back then I had contempt for it. After we left my dad, I was like anti-money. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. I didn't understand why people bought expensive things. I thought it was stupid. And then I just realized that my relationship with money was so damaged because of all the different circumstances where money was used as a tool of humiliation and shame and power and powerlessness. So I want to encourage everybody to really reevaluate your relationship with money, which is just energy. And see, do you love this energy, and are you afraid of it? Or do you think there's a lack of it? Or do you think you don't have access to it and you can't have it? Other people can have it. You don't know how to get it. Because if you don't, there are people like Vanda and I who can teach you how to
Yes.
get it. And Vanda, you talked about tracking, and I think that's one of the things that you do with your clients that's extremely helpful. So any realtors out there who have challenges with tracking, calling Vanda would be really helpful for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, because she will hold you accountable. And I know that you tracking, I don't do the tracking with we track in a different way. You are, from what I understand, much more aggressive about the tracking. We're much more holistic about the tracking. I spend more time with them, with my clients, on their psychology and on their emotions and how they're feeling, in different ways to multiply their money into profit by specifically addressing their mental roadblocks and turning their mental roadblocks into power and profit. But I think this thing that you do with tracking is really a powerful gift that you give your clients, not just for tracking real estate, but tracking their entire life, and just get into the discipline of tracking what they're doing and what results they're getting or not getting.
Yes, yes. And I love it. Thank you for the shout out. And same thing here to you. And the thing is, because we know we can't manage what we don't know. We can't change what we don't know, and we can't even adjust. So tracking, like if you want to lose weight, if you want to, earn $50,000 every month, I mean, how many homes takes you to get there? And also how many homes takes you to get, well, some people like in New York, that's 2 homes. They sell 2 homes, you got, $45,000, $50,000 a month. Now the question is how many appointments you're going to set to have those two conversions. So I love that. And that you help them to transform in many ways so they feel empowered and they believe too. So as an energy coach too, I help them with that as well. But a lot of them, they come to me, they want to build a business.
Yes.
That is predictable and profitable. So we go over the sales skills, the business skills, the track and measure. So it's wonderful about all of this. Now, let me see here. There's so many questions I want to ask you.
Okay, go ahead. Ask.
So now, when you have someone that comes to you and they have all these blocks, because we know mental recording, all
which I love, by the way.
Yeah, that's one of your superpowers. So
I love it.
That, right? Breaking the paradigms and destroy some of those beliefs. So tell us here how, let's imagine someone coming to you and they are really feeling less insecure and they don't believe they can win. What would be one technique or one strategy to help them to break the paradigm and move to another level?
Well, everyone is unique and everyone has had a different life path and everyone has different sensitivities. So I really tailor things to individuals to say, okay, you're here, you want to go here. Let's talk about all the things that are blocking you. And then one by one, we go through, okay, they have a fear of, let's say, making cold calls, or they have a fear of making phone calls because they say, and probably you've heard this too, I don't want to interrupt the person. I don't know what to say. Why would they want to hear about me? Or if I tell them, hey, you're selling at this price point, why don't we just double it and go sell at this price point? And their identity doesn't match that new reality. So the whole game is to transform their identity so that it matches the reality they want. So I call it the before and after picture.
Right.
When I used to work in medicine, and all the years I worked in medicine, I worked in cosmetic surgery. And the one thing that I loved about it, even though there were like 99 things I hated about working in medicine, the one thing I truly appreciated was seeing the before and after transformation of the patient. That was riveting. So typically how it works in a plastic surgery office is in the OR, you have the person's before picture, right? The current picture pre-op, and then you have their preferred post-op picture. So you say, hey, how would you like to look? And in the operating room, they're side by side. So you have the before picture and then you have the after picture. And the entire time you're operating on this patient, you're keeping these two things in mind because the goal is to take them to look from one way, the way they used to look, to this new way that they prefer to look. I think it's the same. And having that after picture was extremely important because someone can say, I want to look better. And that's so subjective. So someone can say, I want to make more money, but that is so subjective. Someone can say, I want to have more self-confidence, but that is subjective. Exactly. So I would take the time with that person to, number one, identify their starting point. Why do they, with all due respect, feel fucked in the head? And then number two is to look at what is your after picture. A lot of people are so consumed with what's wrong and what's missing and what the weaknesses are that they have never created the after picture of, hey, but if you had a magic wand, what do you want the after picture to look like? So creating the after picture is extremely important. And then addressing the wounds that prevent the person from feeling that they're equal to their ask now. One of my coaching clients, he was making 7 figures in real estate in New York, is very well known. And his goal was to double 7-figure his income. And I said, okay, well, you have all the resources, you have the knowledge, you have the resources, you know, the people, you have the reputation, you have everything. So let's just do it. And it was very interesting, his answer. He said, but how do I know I deserve it?
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, well, if you double your value to the market, the value that you bring to the marketplace, you should get paid twice as much.
Exactly.
And in his mind, he was so trapped, but that is so much money. And it was so much money compared to his humble beginnings of where he came from. He couldn't wrap his identity around the double of his income. So one of the things that I recommend to all my clients is, from the first call, like, what would it be like if you doubled your income? And it's nice to see people's reactions to that. And they will tell you 25 reasons why it's not possible. And so I would work with them through every reason that they stated why it is not possible to double their income. Because normally, and I've done this at many real estate companies, I've gone and I've done presentations and I said, please raise your hand if you know someone who is earning twice as much as you in integrity, somebody that you respect. And all the hands go up. I'm like, so you know that it's possible to do that in the market, but then why are you not doing it? And then how do we get you to become aligned with that goal? Yeah. And then figure out what help me. All I need people to do is tell me what their problems are, and then I'll tell them the solutions. So to me, it's really actually exciting, because it's like a puzzle piece. You just have to like move the puzzle pieces around, toss a couple of them in the garbage, add a few new ones, and then you have a whole new way of looking at your life. It's like a kaleidoscope. You shift it a little bit and you get this cool, magical new movie. So the new movie of the after picture, I would encourage everyone who's watching this, for the love of God, go spend 20 minutes on writing out your after picture in every part of your life. If you had a magic wand, what would you like it to look like? And then get help. If you don't know how to get there, hire someone who's competent and who has a proven track record to help you get there.
Exactly. The specific thing that you need and want. I love what you said. And it's true. What I help them with, to create this dream vision picture, right? You know, and put it up, everything you like to have. And it's so true, because you can go to another level, carry it on to the old level, or thinking small, right? Like you said, you have these clients that double, because it's actually much easier to double from 150,000 to 300,000. But when you're talking about doubling your gross commission from $1 million to 2 million, or 3 million to 6 million, we talk about a whole different mindset. It's creating a new person. You're not creating a new identity in a new person. So I love that. And it's true.
Vanda,
and that takes exercise. Takes
I think,
right?
Yeah, it's also, I think, the person going from 150 to 300, it is equally for many of them, at least my clients make more than that. But let's say back then, years ago, but it's also inconceivable for that person.
Yeah, that is true. It's true. It's true. Right? It's true now, because I'm relating to real estate, because, you know, if you add even 2 more sales for them, they can go up a lot much faster, right?
Yes.
But the truth is, you got to first elevate and upgrade your identity if you're going to go from
100%.
100%. So the dream board, or having that picture in front of you. By the way, everybody likes before and after picture.
Oh my God.
Everybody, don't they? And it's so inspiring and so committed. One of my clients here, Rob De Paoli, who actually, I just talked to him yesterday. Listen to this, Vivace. This kid is so inspiring. This kid came to me as a bias agent. He was a bias agent on a team here in California, Manhattan Beach. He hired me as a coach. He was earning $59,000 per year as a bias agent. And then we upgraded skills, confidence, systems, process, you know, structure, everything in place. You know what he has right now? He has $1 million pending gross commission. $1 million pending. He's doing over $100 million and learned a lot, improved a lot. Now he sells in Nashville, in Manhattan Beach, California.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, and he's doing that. And the funny thing, it made me think about him, because one time people say, oh, I hate social media, it doesn't work. He put a before and after picture on his social media from a beautiful listing. He got so much interaction, and he talked to people. He said 3 appointments, he got sold 2 homes and a value total of $4 million. So before and after picture, before and after.
Yes.
So people
I
love that
it.
stuff.
And I love how you said you helped him, because I find that a lot of realtors don't like this because their brain is just not wired for systems and processes. I think it's a different personality type, right? There's a personality type who's a people person, and there's the systems and processes person. So for people who are not systems and processes oriented, they should definitely call Vanda, because Vanda can help straighten you out. Or
To help, to delegate, we hire people for them.
Yeah, if you, in the beginning, obviously we have to wear 50 different hats, but at least if you know someone like you have a proven track record with systems and processes, the person doesn't have to waste 10 years of their life reinventing the wheel like your client did. They can just come to you and follow the proven steps and take step after step after step, and literally to amaze themselves with what was possible with a little bit of, or a lot of guidance that you offer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like us, we are studying. We are talking about last week how much studying courses and classes we take.
Oh my God.
That was another level, right, my darling?
All the time. I spend so much money on growth, as one should. I think, how are you going to be better if you don't expose your mind to different styles of thinking that are different than your own? You're going to be always plateauing at the same level you're at. So I'm a big fan, as long as you're working with someone who has a proven track record.
Wonderful. So how many hours or minutes? I love that, darling. I love that. How many hours or minutes do you work on yourself per day, beautiful Vivace?
I don't know if I could tell. I don't have the metrics like you do, so I can count. I have a client of mine, everything he does, God bless his brain is wired so interestingly. He has an Excel spreadsheet for everything. So like, he will tell you how many minutes every day he spends doing specific tasks. That would kill me. So I'm more go with the flow. So I'm not sure how many minutes, but for definitely every single day, it's a part of my life. It has to be. I had a client of mine, he was this big CEO guy, super successful, well-known in his own domain, not in real estate. And he asked me, he's like, so, he asked me something to the point of like, how important is it for you to grow? And I said, well, I have a rule. And he said, what's your rule? I said, every day at 5 p.m., I have to be smarter than I was at 9 a.m. And if I'm smarter at 5 p.m., I've had a really good day. So he said, well, how do you go about being smarter at 5 p.m.? I said, let's say, although I've done coaching calls at 6 a.m., but I use 9 to 5 just as a parameter. I said, if I wake up in the morning and have a bunch of intelligent conversations with a bunch of intelligent people, it's practically impossible for me not to be smarter at 5 p.m. So this is my, and I think also like when you're coaching incredible people, they teach you so much and you grow so much as yourself. At least I do all day from the process. So the process, it would be part of the minutes of my personal growth. But of course, I listen to podcasts all the time. I should probably not go to sleep listening to podcasts, but I listen to this stuff all the time. I'm a little bit obsessive with it because these things actually saved my life. So I am so grateful. And also when I had no money back in the day, when I had nothing, I owed money, I had student loans. I would take my little amount of money and I would buy a $10 book and I'd read it back and forth and underline it, write in the margins. I have hundreds of books. I still have them. Dated with all my thoughts and beliefs and whatever I was thinking. And it's beautiful and magical to see that this like $10, $15 item could really be my best friend when I couldn't afford. Not everyone can afford a coach, but everyone can hopefully afford to listen to YouTube if you have internet connection. And there's so much data,
so much information.
There's so much that's free. In my time, there was no, when I was growing up, right? We didn't have YouTube. I had to I went to the bookstore and I would go sit at the bookstore, Vanda, with all these books around me. And I would just sit there for hours and hours and hours, and I would buy books and books and books and books. Or back then I would buy CDs and I would have a CD player. I'd walk through the streets of Manhattan listening to these CDs. I'd have it on the subway with me. Back in the day, there were cassettes. I would have cassettes, personal development cassettes. I donated so many of them. I took a photo of this gallery of I'll have to find it, things that I donated to it was a home for people who are, I won't mention, but anyway, it was for a home for people who could have used it. And so I took a picture of all of this. I put it all on the ground and I took a photo, and it was like all the stuff that I had bought. And I still have tons of it in storage. I'm a huge fan. But my only caveat is, for the love of God, don't blindly, and I've done this at times, don't blindly spend your money because you're desperate and you hope that this person has the answer, especially if you have a limited income. Do a lot of due diligence before spending your hard-earned cash on random things, hoping that some person is going to have a random answer for you.
Your homework.
Right. Ultimately, I believe that everyone has the answer within themselves, and it's our job as coaches to ask the right question to reveal that beautiful answer that was already housed in that person. So I believe our higher power has our answer. But yes, please read books, listen to podcasts, do everything you can do to help yourself. And so much of it is free, so you literally have zero excuse.
So true, so true. I love what you said. And one of the things that make us great coaches, and I believe one of the best in the world, is because we are where the client is, right? So we hear where they are, not where the different coaches, different clients have different styles, different level of production, different dreams and different models. So we are where they are. And you're talking about books. I believe books saved my life, because growing up very poor in Brazil, books are so expensive, Vivace. So expensive. So I used to go to this place in downtown, close to the fish market, that I could buy books like no cover, old dirty books. I said, with no covers for about 10 cents. So I would buy those books. I was reading at a time. I had no television. We had no money, no phone. I was reading 3 books per week. And then if you have 2, you could trade 2 per 1. So that's how I was able to. I didn't know about libraries, I didn't have money to buy books. So I would go and trade 2 books for 1, no cover. And I just read and dream and dream and dream. So yeah, imagination is the key to motivation. Imagination is the key also to wealth. So all of you guys, we're getting close.
Hunger. Look at how hungry.
Oh yeah, hunger. Yeah. Well, because you gotta be hungry.
You have to be hungry to find a solution that works for your lifestyle. So if your solution at that moment in time was to buy these books that didn't have covers, that was a beautiful solution to a problem. Yeah, I think there's so many solutions that are available to people, and people get stuck in this loop of powerlessness and learn self-helplessness, and they settle and they self-attack and they feel bad about their lives. There was no time in history where we've had more resources than we do right now. So I believe that everybody who is healthy and able-bodied has access to, even if it's a used book without a cover that's 10 cents. Like, there's so much stuff that you can get for free, and there are so many libraries. Yeah. So for anybody, I mean, I know for all those years when I didn't have any money, I would just, first of all, I would babysit. I did whatever I could do. I would find a way. But not reading or not growing was never, ever, ever, ever a consideration.
Yeah, no, it is, because again, you're hungry and you're resourceful, you find a way. And I always tell my clients, when you go hire people for your team, hunger is the #1 trait, because if they're not hungry, they don't follow up. And hunger has nothing to do with having money, by the way. I've seen a lot of women broke with 2 little kids, complacent, not hungry. We can also help them to get hungry. And we see a lot of people, actually, a woman who can be rich husband, but they want to prove to themselves they can do it. They want to prove to the husband they have the power, make the kids proud. So again, hungry is a state of mind. Would you agree, Vivace? It has nothing to do if you have money or no money. You can still be very hungry with money.
And it comes from personal responsibility, and also it comes from your sense of identity. You work for hopefully many reasons, so you can grow and you can add value to so many people. It's not just about, as you've mentioned multiple times, it's not about the dollar amount. There's so many people who are fiscally powerful, but they're emotionally void and they're spiritually bankrupt. Like that, to your point, is not a measure of success. So I think it's really important to, if you're not hungry, maybe even take some time to wonder what is blocking your, well, if you're not hungry, you're probably not listening to this podcast.
So true, right?
Everyone listening to this podcast is pretty hungry. And if you're hungry, go find the right food to nourish your mind, your body, and soul, so that you can elevate your life. And, Deepak Chopra has a saying that I held on to and I still use a lot. My clients love his words. So I'm paraphrasing. He says, if you have the desire, if you've been given the desire, you've also been given the ability. And that is such a powerful frame to think from. Like, hey, I have this desire. What if it's true that I've been given the ability? Maybe I just feel blocked and I don't know how to go about it, but I do have the ability. And I think it's important to recognize that we do have the ability. And you talked about women who are not helping themselves. I think it's important for other women, and this is why I want to encourage you to share your story. Like, how many people would benefit from hearing your story about the 10-cent book that had no cover? There's so many people who would say, wow, this lady was here and now she's here. So maybe now that I'm here, I can do that too. And so I think it's important for everyone, but also for women, to share our stories of triumph, to give a lift off to someone else who might be struggling today, or might have a lack of belief or a lack of self-trust, because they haven't maybe been around these types of messages, and they haven't been bombarded with the fact that this is possible for everyone, hopefully, who's able-bodied. And I understand financial constraints. I don't want anyone to be like, well, it's easy. It wasn't easy for me when we were homeless and didn't have a place to live. So I totally know what it's like to have zero money. And to have no home. But I also understand my mom worked really, really hard. And of course, you know, for a period of time, we lived with my uncle in a 1-bedroom apartment, which I was so grateful for. But this home that I was so grateful for, literally, he had just been robbed. It was on the street level in Queens, New York. And he had put barbed, what do you call it? Barbed, this like metal.
Right.
The things on the windows, like those metal things on the windows.
Metal guards.
Yeah, metal guards. All the windows had like these metal guards around them. So I would come home from school. I was home for hours and hours and hours by myself because my mom was busy working for, I think at some point, $3 an hour, then $4 an hour. I think she got an upgrade to $4. So I would sit in, I would come from school. I would take buses from school. I would come to from school to home. I'd sit there with these windows that were covered with all this metal. It literally felt like prison, but I was so grateful that we weren't with my dad. And then this 1-bedroom apartment that I was so grateful that my uncle was being kind enough to allow us to live with him. It had roaches in it. It had mice in it. I hated being there, but I was so grateful to be there. And it was difficult to be like, I don't want to be here, but I'm so grateful to be here. But like, there's so many things about it that make me feel so uncomfortable. And also I felt really embarrassed and I felt ashamed, and I didn't feel comfortable like eating his food or just like taking space or being at the dinner table because it was his money that he paid for the food, or, you know, he was helping my mom with her to supplement her income because her income wasn't obviously high enough for everything else. So I want people who are listening to this to understand that you and I are suggesting all this abundance is possible because we've lived the alternative.
Exactly. And you talk about the being resourceful, you know, listen, in today's age, ignorance is a choice, you know, and, you know, look at the YouTube is a university. Every time I go do anything, I not only Google, I go right to YouTube. I watch a video. I'm not that high tech.
Chat GPT.
Right, exactly. I love it, right? Don't you love it? I mean, yesterday, that also my son, who's my CEO, amazing, computer savvy, super, speaks 5 languages. Thank God he runs the company. I only do what I love, and he runs the whole show, the metrics. I know everything, but he runs everything. He's the CEO, and we're talking about that. So listen, everything is possible. If you believe, hungry enough, put a plan together, go after, and you have people like us here to support you. You can do anything. Doesn't matter where you came from. Go ahead, darling.
Yeah, I think you definitely need, look, anything is possible, but we all need help.
Yeah, we need help, right? Yeah.
The right people. If it's your mother who can help you, or your sister, your son is helping you, your neighbor can help you, your best friend can help you. It is so challenging to want to do this alone. And I think this is where the humility part comes in, to be humble enough to say, I cannot do this alone and I need help. Even for me, ignoring all my emotional needs and till I was suicidal, then I went and I tried so many different types of help. And I just really want to encourage anyone who's going through a tough time, please get help. And if you go to the first person and they're not capable, or they're not aligned with you, or they cannot help you, please go to the second person and third person, and the 5th person and the 10th person. Like, it's, you know, finding someone to help you, if it's a coach or a therapist or a mentor, whatever. I think it's like dating. You don't necessarily fall in love and marry the first one. If you're lucky, if you get a great referral and you're lucky that your first shot, you hit the jackpot and you got your ultimate coach, then God has super blessed you. It's like someone meeting their soulmate in high school, and, you know, they're together till they're 90 and they're truly in love and they truly have a partnership. But I think finding the right person, it can take some time. So be patient with yourself, whatever it is you're doing. You need like we were talking about real estate, finding the right team can take some time.
Yeah.
The right people, I think, are so integral to our success. I had a spiritual teacher, and Vanda, he taught me this. He said, Vivace, 1 + 1 = 10,000. And I was like, no, 1 + 1 = 2. And he's like, oh, 1 + 1 = 10,000. I said, what does that mean? And he said, if you take your 1 with another person's 1, it should equal 10,000. So basically, if you're selecting people in your life, make sure if it's a best friend, a boyfriend, a business partner, a life coach, whoever.
Right.
Make
So
sure
true.
that your 1 + 1 = 10,000, because so many times we combine our 1 with another person and then we're at negative 10,000. So 1 + 1 = 10,000. Go find your match. Your person exists. And sometimes we have to transform to be worthy of aligning with the person who can become our 1 + 1 = 10,000.
So true. And that's called synergy, right? 1 + 1
Yes.
is equal to 10,000. I love that. You know, this morning I had my coaching call, my speaking business coaching call, and I'm releasing my book. So in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, I'm going to Brazil. The book that I released here that hit the bestseller on Amazon, The Art of High Energy. Now I'm releasing in Portuguese, and the name is Action. It's called Energy in Action, but in Portuguese, Energia em Ação. So we changed the name because the art of high energy doesn't go so well in Portuguese. So the name in Portuguese is Energia em Ação, Energy in Action. So I'm going to Brazil to release the book and I'm going to be speaking in several places and doing all this marketing. I hire a marketing company, publisher. So it's so exciting. And
oh my God, good for you. You better include the hashtag at the bottom of the show notes so people who speak Portuguese can check out your book.
I know, I will do that. And the thing is, today I had some agenda with my coach, but when he realized I'm going to Brazil, so 20 minutes while we readjust the call. So he like, okay, here's what you're gonna do when you arrive in Brazil. That's what you're gonna do before Brazil. Here's what it's so easy and better to have someone helping you with the process.
Oh
so
my God. Yeah.
You actually answered one of my questions, because one of my questions was, what is your message for anyone when you want to watch and hear that's having a hard time? And you said, ask for help. I love that.
But get the right help. Get
Exactly.
the right help. And if you find 10 dumbasses who can't help you, don't give up on yourself and think there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. You just haven't found the right person to be able to give you the right help. When I was suicidal, I went to so many therapists and so many different types of people, and I tried everything. And there were many times when I would go to a therapist, and this was my hard-earned money. This is when I had student loans. I would go to work. I didn't like the type of job I had. I would literally take the money, spend the money on rent and student loans and therapy. And so this money was so important to me, and I would go to get help, and I would go to someone who was certified, who had whatever degrees on their wall. And time again, these people, I couldn't connect with them. I didn't relate to them. I didn't feel like they understood me. I didn't feel like they could relate to me, and they could not help me. And you can feel so defeated and so alone, especially when you go to get help and the help is not helpful. So for the love of God, if you're going to get help, make sure it's helping you. And if you do 1 session, 2 sessions, 3 sessions, this is my 2 cents, with anybody. And if it's not productive, save your money and run away.
Right. So true. Again, it's not only knowing what to do, it's how to do it. So it's not every coach. There's thousands of coaches out there. Having the right person who knows how to move you and educate and how to help you to know the how. Vivace, you're such a beautiful mind. It's such a great energy. So everyone, a lot of people come to me, coach, you have so much energy, and look, that's why great minds attract each other. Beautiful women here with great energy. And this is from inside, by the way. I'm calling ourselves beautiful from the inside. So we're not bragging here, people.
Yeah, and energy comes from and I believe, and maybe you can address this because you just wrote a book about it. So I'm sure I can learn many things from you. But I think energy comes from alignment, and energy comes from healing. And the more that I healed all the garbage that was shoved in my skull, and all the programs from my childhood, and all the things that caused me pain and anguish and agony, the more I healed that, the more energy I had. And it's authentic, it's natural. I think we're designed to be happy people where there's flow in our body. It's just whenever we block the flow in different ways, I think that's the issue. So like my energy, obviously I say it comes from God. but it also comes from tremendous amount of healing and tremendous amount of alignment and tremendous amount of gratitude. Exactly. That like so many things turned out this way, especially from having been suicidal to being in this position. It's unimaginable reality that I, like many different types of lifetimes that I've been through this life. And I know many people can say that. So if you want to boost your energy, I mean, I would love to hear your tips, but my tips would be speak your truth, live your truth, and heal yourself. If you don't heal your wounds, your energy is going to be trapped underneath the trauma. And I 100% believe that.
I love it. I love it. And it's
your
so
tips?
true.
What are your tips?
Energy, I used to say energy is generated, only generated, but also, yes, I also believe in God, and I believe that I'm being gifted. I have blessed with the ability to transfer energy, with the ability to teach and educate. So I've been a teacher and educator all my life. I love helping people. And you said the right thing. No one is broke. Broken, I should say, and no one is not coachable. If you have the right person, they will help you to get out of your shell and elevate yourself in many ways. So I believe the energy can be transformed. So you transform your energy, yes, by being genuine you, and by believing yourself and working on it. You know, it's a process. Now,
you have to work on it.
It's a process. And what I love what you said too is a lot of people have so many hang-ups. And so all of you who are watching us, yes, we have very high energy. Yes, we know where we are. We know where we came from and our identity. So don't ever compare yourself with anyone.
Oh my God, no.
Be you, raise your energy when you're going to do your presentation, be cool, calm, relaxed when you're off. So always remember, the most beautiful energy is be unique be you, genuine, authentic. And that's the beautiful energy, right? As you pursue what you want. So no apologies, right, Vivace? No.
Oh my God, I am such a fan of being clear, committed, and unapologetic.
I love it.
You have to know what is unique about you. Going back to my little trademark of celebrate the luxury of being you. I do believe that, like, if you don't believe in God, it's fine. Okay. And I don't believe in a God out there. The God that I believe is a God that's within us. I think there's an intelligence that's within us. I call that intelligence and that unconditional love God. So everyone might have a different definition of God or where the location is. I think it's within us. So I think God has put a little treasure chest in our heart. And it's our job in our life to open up this treasure chest.
Gift, right? I love it.
It's a gift. It's a gift of who you are. And I call it the luxury of being you. And once you access what is luxurious about who you are, forget about your weaknesses and all the things you don't have. Let's focus on maximizing the gifts that you've been given so that we can double down on the gifts that you've been given. So many people sit there and fixate on what's wrong and what's missing and what's lacking in their lives. So instead of the gifts that they've been given, and for us to, like you as a coach, me as a coach, to cultivate those gifts. Vanda and I have spent, and Vanda, you could speak for yourself. I've spent hundreds of thousands of hours. Okay. I don't know how many, because as we know, I don't tabulate. She does. I've spent so much time on myself, on healing myself. And it's an ongoing process. And there are up days and there are down days and there are happy days and there are sad days. Yesterday I was extremely frustrated. I'm dealing with some medical challenges that are not fun, and it's been ongoing for many years. So for anyone also, and I want to do this shout out too, for anyone who has a chronic illness, I coach a lot of people who have autoimmune issues, as I do, and it can be super mind fucking to constantly have this thing in your body that you can't control. But for the love of God, don't use that as an alibi or as an excuse to step up and to not live your best life, even though this thing is so, like, at times maddening to deal with, because there is, for many people with autoimmune issues, there are sometimes no solutions. And so the solution is just like, do your best. And it's not a satisfactory answer. So I know everyone, right? Everyone that you see who's successful is really pushing through so much. And we all have different types of pains and different types of situations that we're living in. But I think it's important, like, don't wait until you're quote unquote healthy. Don't wait until XYZ happens. Today is the day. Today is the day for you to figure out what is unique and exceptional and magical about you. I call it your X factor. Once you know what your X factor is, you can step into that. You can monetize that. And that alone will multiply your energy.
So true. Knowing what you want, why you want. Let's put a plan together, action. And I love it. Thank you so much, Vivace, for your time, your energy, your wisdom. My pleasure. So how
here? I have your energy.
Oh my God, we bounce back and forth. Great energy here, great time. And I know all of you guys here watching this, watch it again. Just know that we love you for who you are. There's always a different level, and you can do it like we did. You can do it. That doesn't matter where you come from, your age, your time, your sex, your gender. You are capable. You're able to learn anything, and we're here to help, to guide you, to support you, most of all, to love you. So, Vivace, how can my beautiful viewers here get in touch with you and follow you?
Okay, well, thank you so much. First of all, a million thanks for having me. It's so much fun. So thank you. And to your viewers, for the love of God, double down and bet on yourself. Please bet on yourself. There is so much magic within you.
Always.
I can't wait for you to unleash the packages of magic that are inside of you screaming to come out. So that's that. But if you want to reach me, you can reach me at my website is Fierce, F-I-E-R-C-E, selfconfidence.com. We can include it in the show notes. And I post a lot. I don't post as much on YouTube because I don't. Sadly, I need to, but I post a lot of content on Instagram. So it's at Vivace Maxvictor. Please follow, please like, please comment. Let me know what you want more of, and I shall stand and deliver.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your energy, time, and wisdom. And all of you, thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here. Go out there, share your energy, your love, your passion, and of course, your expertise. Help a lot of people and make a difference. So see you next time. Thank you, Vivace.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.